Imagine waking up each day thinking you're doing the right thing for your body. You start your morning the same way you have for years, maybe decades, a hearty breakfast, maybe some eggs and toast, a few strips of bacon sizzling on the pan, and that strong, comforting cup of coffee. It feels familiar, safe even. But what if I told you that something in that routine, something you don't even realize, is slowly chipping away at your energy, vitality, and long-term health? Today, I want to talk directly to men over 50 who are unknowingly falling into a silent trap. It's not your fault. These habits were shaped over years of repetition and cultural norms. But ignoring them now can have lasting consequences that few talk about openly. And here's something important. Toward the end of this video, I'm going to share a bonus insight, a natural way to boost male vitality that most people have never heard about. It's easy to adopt, and when done right, it can multiply the benefits of everything we're about to cover. So stay with me. Let's be honest. After 50, things start to change. The body processes food differently, metabolism slows down, hormones fluctuate, and what worked at 30 no longer delivers the same results. But there's a common behavior that persists, even though the body can no longer handle it the same way. It's the habit of starting the day with the wrong kind of fuel. Fuel that promotes inflammation, drains your energy reserves, and sends your hormones into disarray. What's the first thing most men reach for in the morning? Coffee. Not just one cup, but often 2 or 3, loaded with sugar or artificial sweeteners, and sometimes paired with processed meats and white bread. The issue isn't just the caffeine, although that has its own implications. It's the combination of stimulants and highly inflammatory foods first thing in the day. You're breaking your fast with ingredients that disrupt your gut, spike your insulin, and force your body into a state of stress before you've even left the house. Processed breakfast meats like bacon and sausage are high in saturated fats and preservatives that, over time, contribute to arterial plaque and hormone disruption. Combine that with refined carbs and a caffeine spike, and you're setting yourself up for an energy crash mid-morning, cravings by noon, and restless sleep at night. All this, repeated daily, leads to chronic inflammation, lowered testosterone, and weight gain around the midsection, which many men chalk up to aging when, in reality, it's a response to what they're consuming. But let's not stop there. Another overlooked issue is hydration, or rather, the lack of it. Most people drink their coffee before having any water. After 6 to 8 hours of sleep, the body is naturally dehydrated. Jumping straight to coffee without first rehydrating forces the kidneys to work harder and increases cortisol, the stress hormone. That cortisol spike further suppresses testosterone and can cause subtle fatigue that lingers throughout the day. Now, does that mean you should stop drinking coffee altogether? Not necessarily. But the timing, pairing, and quality matter more than most people realize. Coffee consumed after hydration, ideally with a small, protein-rich breakfast and anti-inflammatory elements like berries or avocado, can actually support mental focus without the crash. The difference is in the preparation and sequence. Many men think that starting the day with energy means jolting the system awake. But what your body truly craves is nourishment and stability. By swapping out processed foods for whole alternatives, adding hydration before caffeine, and reducing sugar first thing in the morning, you're signaling to your body that it's safe, supported, and ready to function. There's something powerful about realizing that you can reverse the tide. These aren't major life overhauls. They're subtle shifts with compounding benefits. And if you're wondering whether these small adjustments are worth the effort, think about this. Men who change their morning habits often report clearer thinking, improved digestion, fewer crashes during the day, and yes, even better sleep and more energy for what really matters. We're just getting started, and what comes next is one of the most overlooked causes of hormone imbalance in men today. It's hiding in your kitchen, and most people have no idea the damage it causes until the signs show up in their blood work or their day-to-day energy levels. Ignoring it not only weakens the results of any health effort, it can trigger effects that are difficult to reverse later on. Let's take a closer look at something most people don't even question, because it's been in their homes, on their plates, and part of their lifestyle for decades. And yet, for men over 50, This seemingly harmless element could be quietly sabotaging your body from the inside out. You've made it through the first crucial insight. You now understand that how you start your morning matters more than ever. But what comes next may be even more surprising. It's not just about what time you eat or how you prepare your food. It's about something you're likely eating regularly, believing it's either neutral or beneficial, when in fact, it may be interfering with your body's hormonal balance and long-term health. We're talking about processed food, and not just the obvious culprits like frozen pizzas or fast food. We mean the ones cleverly disguised as healthy, convenient, or even low-fat. Items like turkey slices, flavored yogurts, breakfast cereals, granola bars, canned soups, and even some plant-based meat alternatives. Here's the reality. Many of these foods contain additives, preservatives, and hidden sugars that interfere with hormone regulation, especially testosterone. After age 50, the male body naturally produces less testosterone, but what most men don't realize is that certain ingredients in these foods accelerate that decline. Let's talk specifics. Nitrates and nitrites, common in deli meats and sausages, have been linked to increased oxidative stress and inflammation. Then there are seed oils, canola, soybean, and corn oil, which are often found in packaged goods and are known to promote chronic inflammation when consumed regularly. This kind of inflammation doesn't always cause pain, but it does interfere with everything from heart health to joint mobility and sexual performance. And then there's the sugar, often hiding under names like maltodextrin, high fructose corn syrup, or brown rice syrup. These sugars spike insulin, and when insulin is high too often, testosterone tends to dip. This hormonal imbalance can result in low energy, irritability, poor sleep, and unwanted fat gain, especially around the belly. Most men assume that cutting calories is the solution, but it's not just about how much you eat. It's about what you eat and how your body responds to it. A 1,500-calorie diet full of chemical additives and sugar won't support your health the way a nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory plan will. Your body isn't a calculator, it's a chemistry lab, and every food you put in sends a signal, whether that's one of healing or harm. It's not all bad news. The good news is that there are plenty of delicious, satisfying swaps that can reduce the toxic load and support your hormones. For example, trade processed deli meats for freshly cooked, grass-fed beef or pasture-raised chicken. Instead of sugary yogurt, choose unsweetened Greek yogurt and add your own fruit. Swap boxed cereals for steel-cut oats with a handful of walnuts and cinnamon. Small changes, big difference. It's also essential to read labels, not just for calorie counts, but for ingredients. A good rule of thumb? If you can't pronounce it, your body probably won't know how to use it. Choose items with 5 ingredients or less, and favor foods in their most natural state. Whole foods provide not only better fuel, but they also reduce the inflammation that's linked to so many of the chronic conditions men face as they age. By clearing out these hidden enemies from your diet, you give your body a chance to stabilize hormones naturally. This means more consistent energy, fewer sugar crashes, a better mood, and even improvements in areas like libido and concentration. When I first began noticing a difference in my own energy levels, I traced it back to one thing. What I had been assuming was healthy wasn't. That shift in awareness changed everything. Once I swapped out these common offenders, the results were not just physical, they were emotional, mental, and deeply motivating. And the most important part? You don't have to change everything overnight. Just start paying attention. Begin with 1 or 2 swaps. Watch how your body responds. Because when your nutrition aligns with your body's needs, everything starts to work better. Digestion, focus, strength, even sleep. Now, what comes next might be the most surprising of all. It's something many men over 50 actually do with the best of intentions, thinking it's good for them, only to discover that when done the wrong way, it can cause more harm than good. Ignoring this next insight could not only sabotage your progress, but could quietly push your body in the opposite direction. And that's something we need to address right away. One of the most frustrating things for men over 50 is feeling like they're doing all the right things, eating better, cutting out sugar, walking more, and still not seeing results. You start to wonder, Is it just age? But here's the reality. Many men, even those with the best intentions, are unknowingly making one critical mistake that's preventing them from seeing progress. Worse yet, it might actually be moving them backward. We've already covered how your food choices can disrupt your body's natural balance. Now, let's talk about another cornerstone of health: exercise. More specifically, the kind of exercise you're doing, how often, and how intensely. After 50, exercise becomes more important than ever. But here's where things go wrong. Most men either push themselves too hard, trying to follow routines they used in their 30s, or they do too little, assuming walking or light yard work is enough. Neither approach works well for a body that's changed with age. And that's the key. Your body has changed. Let's start with the first mistake: overtraining. Many men, eager to get fit or lose belly fat, jump into intense routines, running long distances, doing high-intensity interval training, or lifting heavy every day. While these workouts can have benefits, they also spike cortisol, the stress hormone, especially when your body isn't conditioned for them. Chronically elevated cortisol levels lead to muscle breakdown, stubborn fat retention, particularly around the abdomen, and poor sleep. Instead of gaining energy, you end up feeling worn down and frustrated. On the other hand, undertraining can be just as damaging. If you're only walking or doing occasional stretching, you're missing out on one of the most powerful tools for male health: resistance training. Strength training helps preserve and even rebuild muscle mass, which naturally declines after 50. More muscle means a faster metabolism, better glucose control, and improved testosterone production. But beyond hormones, strength training also enhances posture, balance, and joint support, all essential for healthy aging. There's also a hidden benefit of strength-focused workouts that most men overlook: improved insulin sensitivity. When your muscles are actively used, they pull more glucose from your bloodstream. That means better energy levels and a reduced risk of diabetes, a major concern for aging men. What's important is finding the balance. You don't need to live in the gym, nor do you need to push yourself to exhaustion. In fact, studies show that short, consistent sessions, just 20 to 30 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week, can deliver dramatic improvements when done right. Focus on compound movements like squats, rows, push-ups, and overhead presses. These exercises engage multiple muscle groups and stimulate hormone production naturally. And let's not forget recovery. One of the biggest mistakes men make is underestimating the importance of rest. Your body needs time to repair, especially as it gets older. Without rest, you're not building strength, you're breaking it down. Quality sleep, proper hydration, and stress management are just as important as the workout itself. Another key tip: avoid exercising too late in the evening. Physical activity raises your heart rate and body temperature, which can interfere with your sleep cycle if done too close to bedtime. Poor sleep, as we'll soon explore, has a cascade of negative effects, including reduced testosterone and increased fat storage. The takeaway is this: your exercise routine should be intelligent, not intense. It should work with your body, not against it. If you've been training hard and feeling worse, it's time to adjust. If you've been avoiding strength work because it feels intimidating, start small. Bodyweight movements at home can be just as effective when done consistently. Once you find that balance, stimulating your muscles without overwhelming your system, you'll likely notice your energy stabilizing, your sleep improving, and your mental clarity returning. Exercise isn't just about looking better. It's about restoring function, reclaiming vitality, and preparing your body to thrive in the years ahead. And what comes next is something most people do every single day without question, not realizing that it may be quietly interfering with everything we've just talked about, from your hormone levels to your energy and even your ability to recover. It's a daily detail so ordinary, it often goes unnoticed, but once you understand its impact, you'll never look at it the same way again. Ignoring this could not only weaken your efforts, but silently reverse your gains in ways most men never suspect. You've probably heard that drinking more water is one of the simplest, healthiest habits you can build. And that's true. Hydration is essential for joint health, metabolism, energy, and even hormone production. But what most people don't realize, especially men over 50, is that the quality of the water you drink may be just as important as the quantity, and in some cases, it might even be working against you. In the US, tap water is generally considered safe, but safe doesn't always mean optimal. Public water systems often contain trace amounts of substances that over time can contribute to hormonal disruption, inflammation, and toxicity. These include chlorine, fluoride, and even heavy metals like lead or arsenic, depending on your local infrastructure. While these elements are typically present in small amounts, consistent exposure over years can burden the body, especially one already navigating the natural shifts of aging. Let's start with fluoride. Commonly added to water supplies to prevent tooth decay, fluoride has long been debated for its systemic effects. Emerging studies suggest that excessive fluoride exposure may interfere with thyroid function, particularly by suppressing the activity of the thyroid gland. A sluggish thyroid can lead to fatigue, weight gain, and mood changes, symptoms many older men attribute simply to getting older, when in reality, the root cause could be environmental. Then there's chlorine. Used to disinfect water, chlorine serves a critical public health role. But in the human body, chlorine can disrupt gut flora, the trillions of bacteria responsible for digestion, immune health, and even mental clarity. An imbalance in gut bacteria can trigger chronic inflammation, reduce nutrient absorption, and weaken the immune response. Another hidden concern? Pharmaceuticals. Studies have shown that trace amounts of medications, ranging from antibiotics to antidepressants, can end up in drinking water. Although present in microdoses, the long-term implications of daily, unintended exposure are still being researched. For a body already managing hormonal changes, even low-level interference can alter balance over time. This doesn't mean you should stop drinking water. Hydration remains non-negotiable. But it does mean you should pay more attention to where your water comes from and how it's treated. One effective step is using a high-quality water filter designed to remove chlorine, fluoride, and heavy metals. Not all filters are equal, so it's worth researching or consulting a trusted health professional. Berkey, Aquasana, and Clearly Filtered are a few examples of brands that offer multi-stage filtration. Even basic carbon filters can make a significant difference in taste and toxicity. Another tip is to drink water first thing in the morning, before coffee, before food, to flush out your system and rehydrate after a long night. This simple action wakes up your metabolism, supports detoxification, and primes your digestion. Just 16 to 20 ounces of clean, room-temperature water within the first 30 minutes of waking can shift how your entire day feels. Also consider using a stainless steel or glass bottle throughout the day instead of plastic. Plastics, especially when exposed to heat, can leach chemicals like BPA into your water. BPA is known to mimic estrogen in the body, disrupting the natural hormonal balance, particularly in men. When you start hydrating with high-quality water, the difference is subtle at first, but over time, many report improved energy, less bloating, clearer skin, and better focus. These aren't dramatic overnight changes, but steady shifts that compound with each healthy choice you make. It's important to understand that the small, unseen details of daily life, like water quality, can carry just as much weight as diet and exercise. Especially as we age, the margin for error narrows. The same body that once tolerated less than ideal inputs now requires more thoughtful care. And the reward? A body that feels clearer, stronger, and more resilient. Now, there's one more daily habit we need to examine. It happens every night. Most people think they're helping their bodies wind down, but in reality, they're interfering with one of the most powerful biological processes for healing and hormonal balance. Ignoring this final piece doesn't just weaken the other efforts you've made, it can quietly cancel them out altogether. And that's something you'll want to understand fully before your next bedtime. By now, you've seen how small, daily choices, what you eat, how you move, even the water you drink, can create ripple effects throughout your body. But there's one habit that often flies under the radar because it happens in the quietest hours of the day. It doesn't involve food or exercise or supplements. It happens when the lights go out and your body should be healing. And yet, this one overlooked habit is quietly disrupting your hormones, stealing your energy, and slowing your recovery, night after night. Let's talk about sleep. More specifically, the kind of sleep you're getting and what you're doing in the final hours before bed. Sleep is not just a time of rest. It's when your body repairs itself on a cellular level. Hormones like testosterone, human growth hormone, and melatonin are naturally produced while you sleep, especially in the earlier phases of the night. These hormones are essential for metabolism, immune function, mental clarity, and sexual health. But for many men, the body never reaches that deep restorative state, not because of age, but because of modern habits that block this natural process. One of the biggest disruptors is screen exposure. Phones, tablets, televisions, even energy-efficient light bulbs emit blue light, which suppresses melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it's time to sleep. The more time you spend scrolling, watching, or even working late on a laptop, the more your brain delays the sleep process. And when melatonin is blocked, the body doesn't enter deep sleep as efficiently. This has a domino effect. Without deep sleep, testosterone levels drop. With lower testosterone, muscle repair slows, fat storage increases, and energy plummets. Even 1 or 2 hours less sleep per night over time can dramatically alter how your body feels, functions, and ages. And here's something few talk about. Men over 50 are especially vulnerable to poor sleep because of age-related changes in sleep cycles. Lighter sleep, more frequent awakenings, and difficulty falling back asleep become common. But instead of accepting this as inevitable, we need to examine what's making it worse and what can be done to reverse it. Caffeine late in the day is a major culprit. While many people feel immune to its effects, caffeine has a half-life of up to 6 hours, which means that 50% of that afternoon coffee could still be in your system at bedtime. Alcohol is another tricky one. While it may help you fall asleep faster, it actually reduces REM sleep, the phase most critical for cognitive restoration. You may wake up more often, feel groggy in the morning, and mistake it for a lack of sleep when the real issue was poor sleep quality. Temperature matters too. The body naturally cools down at night as part of the sleep cycle. But many bedrooms are too warm, and the body struggles to fully relax. A room kept around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit can help facilitate deeper sleep. It's a small change, but incredibly effective. One of the most impactful changes? Creating a wind-down routine. Just as your body thrives on morning rituals, it needs signals that bedtime is approaching. This could be as simple as turning off screens 60 minutes before bed, dimming the lights, stretching lightly, or drinking a cup of herbal tea. These actions signal your nervous system to shift from alert to restful. Another useful strategy is magnesium. This essential mineral supports relaxation, helps regulate melatonin, and reduces nighttime muscle cramps or tension. A magnesium-rich meal in the evening, like leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, or a small banana, or a quality magnesium supplement, can aid in a smoother transition into sleep. Improving sleep hygiene isn't just about sleeping longer. It's about sleeping smarter. When you optimize your sleep, you wake up with more focus, fewer cravings, better physical recovery, and greater hormonal balance. Your body stops fighting itself and begins functioning like it's meant to, strong, alert, and resilient. If there's one takeaway here, it's that great sleep is built during the day. Everything you do, from the food you eat to how you manage stress, impacts how well you rest at night. And when sleep improves, everything else, energy, strength, libido, even your outlook, begins to follow. What I'm about to share next brings everything we've discussed into focus. It's the heart of the matter, the most common and most underestimated cause of long-term damage that almost every man over 50 is dealing with. But here's the catch. The problem isn't just what it is, it's how it's being handled. And unless you know the right way to respond, even the best habits might not protect you. Ignoring this not only reduces the effectiveness of everything we've covered so far, it could also open the door to consequences that build silently over time. Everything we've discussed so far leads to this. A silent, often invisible force that underlies nearly every health issue men over 50 struggle with. It affects your energy, your hormones, your digestion, your sleep, and even your mindset. It's not a symptom, but a root cause. And the most concerning part? Most men are living with it every day without realizing it. This invisible disruptor is chronic inflammation. Now, let's be clear. Some inflammation is natural. It's how the body heals from injuries, fights off infections, and responds to short-term stress. But when inflammation becomes chronic, low-grade and persistent, it starts to damage cells, tissues, and organs silently over time. Unlike a fever or a sprain, chronic inflammation doesn't always announce itself. Instead, it quietly accelerates aging, slows recovery, and throws your entire system off balance. So what causes this kind of inflammation? It's not one thing. It's the accumulation of small choices. The wrong foods, poor sleep, unmanaged stress, exposure to chemicals, sedentary habits, even emotional tension. These triggers feed inflammation day after day until the body begins to react as if it's under constant attack. For men over 50, the effects are especially noticeable. Lower testosterone, increased belly fat, joint stiffness, brain fog, fatigue after meals. These aren't random signs. They're messages from a body trying to cope with a state it was never designed to endure long term. But here's the empowering truth. You can reverse this process. You can calm the internal fire, and in doing so, unlock levels of vitality and clarity you may not have felt in years. The key lies in how you support your body with what it needs to heal. One of the most effective ways to reduce inflammation naturally is through food. Not medication, not extreme diets, but ingredients that carry natural anti-inflammatory compounds. Let's focus on 3: turmeric, ginger, and black pepper. These are more than kitchen spices. When used correctly, they can become part of a daily ritual that actively fights inflammation at the cellular level. Turmeric contains curcumin, a compound proven to lower inflammatory markers in the blood. But curcumin is poorly absorbed on its own. That's where black pepper comes in. It contains piperine, which enhances curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. Ginger adds its own benefits, supporting digestion, reducing pain, and easing muscle soreness. Now here's where many go wrong. They sprinkle turmeric on food occasionally and expect a miracle. But the method matters. To get real results, these ingredients should be combined and consumed consistently in the right form. One simple and powerful way to do this is by preparing a morning tonic. Here's how. Take 1 cup of warm water, not boiling. Add half a teaspoon of ground turmeric, a pinch of black pepper, and a few thin slices of fresh ginger. Stir well and let it sit for a couple of minutes. Drink it slowly, ideally on an empty stomach. This mixture, taken daily, can help lower inflammation, improve digestion, and even enhance mental clarity over time. It's not just the ingredients, it's the consistency. When your body begins to recognize these natural compounds daily, it starts to shift its internal chemistry. Inflammation markers begin to drop, energy begins to rise. And over weeks and months, you'll likely notice improvements in areas you thought were just signs of aging. But healing doesn't happen in isolation. Everything we've talked about, your food, your movement, your sleep, your hydration, all of it plays a role. And when combined with this simple, natural solution, the benefits multiply. The biggest mistake men make is assuming that because these symptoms come on slowly, they're just normal, that it's too late to feel better. But the truth is, your body is always listening. It's always capable of change. What it needs is clarity, consistency, and care. If you've followed this journey to this point, then you've already proven something, that your health matters to you, that you're willing to ask questions, make changes, and invest in a future that feels stronger, clearer, and more alive. That's powerful. So if this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Someone you care about may be dealing with the same silent struggles, and this could be the turning point they didn't know they needed. And if you want to keep learning, growing, and transforming your health naturally, there's more to come. You just have to take that first step, every day, because the knowledge you choose to apply today, that's what shapes the life you live tomorrow.